we got some sad news last night. Mitch McConnell's exit as Senate leader, excuse me, means new uncertainty as GOP falls in line with Trump. So here is Mitch McConnell announcing that he is stepping down, not as senator, he's not quitting midterm, but he is exiting his leadership role as the minority leader of the Republican Party this November. Here he is on the Senate floor.
Politics within my, believe me, I know the politics within my party at this particular moment in time. I have many faults. Misunderstanding politics is not one of them. That said, I believe more strongly than ever that America's global leadership is essential to preserving the shining city on a hill that Ronald Reagan discussed. As long as I'm drawing breath on this earth, I will defend American exceptionalism. So as I've been thinking about when I would deliver some news to the Senate, I always imagined a moment when I had total clarity and peace about the sunset of my work. A moment when I'm certain I have helped preserve the ideals I so strongly
They
believe.
say an old turtle can't change its shell.
That day arrived today.
That day arrived today. He's gone. The AP reports long before Senator Mitch McConnell surprised colleagues Wednesday announcing he would step down as the Republican leader this fall. He knew the time had come. Hard-right Republican senators aligned with Donald Trump wanted to oust him. Trump was easily becoming the party's frontrunner for a do-over election with President Joe Biden. And having largely recovered his health from a devastating fall last year, McConnell was back on his game. In assembling top aides in January to disclose his intentions ahead of his 82nd birthday, McConnell told him he had just one more priority to secure: supplemental aid for Ukraine as it battles Russia. Believe me, I know the politics within my party at this particular moment in time, McConnell said in a speech. We just played that speech, delivered midday on Wednesday from the Senate floor. We'll skip ahead here. Mitch McConnell's departure leaves the Senate and the Republican Party itself at an uncertain crossroads days before the Super Tuesday presidential primary elections, when Trump is expected to sweep up more states in his march to the Republican Party nomination. Trump's ascent proved to be an almost untenable political situation for McConnell. The two men have not spoken since December 2020, when McConnell declared that Biden had legally won that year's election. McConnell lashed out at the defeated president after the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, calling Trump morally responsible for the bloody siege. All right, bloody siege. All right, whatever. We won't litigate that. He has not yet endorsed Trump for president in 2024. Like the House, where Republicans ousted Kevin McCarthy as Speaker in fall, as Speaker in the fall, the latest in a growing list of GOP speakers sent prematurely to the exits, the Senate is now following suit in the Trump era, essentially leaving the long-serving McConnell with few options but to decide for himself it was time to go. So obviously, as this story says, and we knew this going in, McConnell and Trump have been on bad terms for the past few years. It was going to be a brutal cycle for him had he stayed on. He is still technically staying on, but now he's a lame duck. He's on the outs. They're going to have their eyes on who the next leader is. So it takes a lot of pressure off the old man now that he gets to wash his hands of it. But this is why. So we're going to read some pieces here. I think it'll be great because I think Trump will win. We have a leader who can work well with the next Republican president, said Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. I think the Republican Party is going through a pretty dramatic transition, Marco Rubio said, and that's obviously playing out in the halls of Congress as well. This is a good development. My question is, why wait so long, said Senator Josh Hawley. Hawley said November is a long time away. We need new leadership now. And if we look, this is a Politico headline: as McConnell steps down, Ukraine loses a powerful GOP mega booster. So McConnell was really on the wrong side of the party for a bunch of reasons. Obviously, the personal animus between him and Trump was not helpful going into a campaign season. But also, McConnell, and I suppose fruitlessly trying to get Ukraine aid through is a better use of time for the country than trying for the 355th time to slash Medicaid expansions under Obamacare, which was his pet cause in years past. I suppose that is a better use of time. But here is Mitch McConnell during those border bill negotiations talking about Ukraine.
Emphasizing the border, I want to remind everybody of the importance of Ukraine. We heard from the president today. He is inspirational. They have
talking about President Zelensky,
one of
Biden,
our biggest
obviously.
adversaries for almost 2 years now. We haven't lost a single person. NATO has expanded. The Japanese, the South Koreans, the Taiwanese, the Australians all care about what happens in Ukraine. We're not losing track of that. It's just that border security applies to us as well. And that's why we've emphasized so much that subject in the last few days.
So you see, this guy was just forced out of the party. The party really has moved on from him. And obviously, you know, he was never a big fan of Trump. Trump was never a big fan of his. He's more old school, shall we say. Yeah. But also, it is not debatable right now that the Republican Party, relative to the Democrats, don't come at me, I'm putting relative to the Democrats, bold type, all caps, underline, are the anti-war of the two parties. And he is not. He is a full-fledged war hawk, especially on the Russia-Ukraine fronts. And there's just no appetite for that anymore. And so between that and Trump about to lock up the nomination for real, he thought it was time to go. And the party really has moved on from him.
Please clap.